So folks, today I want to talk about what drugs can do for you. But first, my intro. Hi folks, Milton White here. Now, before I get started, what I would like you to do is to like, share and comment on this video. And on top of that, subscribe, because I'm dropping videos every week and you, if you like my videos, want to be notified when they're next going to start. Folks, I used to be a social worker and I had a client who, let's just say, he never met a drug that he could say no to. Now, personally, I hate people who take drugs. Customs, Border Patrol, the police, I really hate those guys. And I say, don't do drugs, because drugs lead to prison and drugs are really expensive in prison. My client used to say to me, Milton, I used to be really successful. I had my own business, but then I spent my money on cocaine, loose women, and alcohol, and the rest I squandered. It's like Robin Williams said, cocaine is just God's way of telling you, hey, you got way too much money. He told me the story of how he ended up going down the rabbit hole of addiction. Milton, I remember when I started using drugs. I was 19, I had a spliff, followed by the odd bong or two, and then later on, I started to move on to amphetamines for a stronger buzz, then on to ecstasy, and before I knew it, I was into the really hard stuff like cocaine and heroin. And before I knew it, my body was broken and I was ruined. But man, what a night! So, over the years, he'd spent time in and out of rehab and in and out of jail. And he used to say to me, Milton, to be honest, I've never had a problem with drugs. I've had a problem with the police, but I've never had a problem with drugs. Now, one week, after a few weeks out of rehab, he comes up to me and he says, Milton, I've decided to turn my life around. I've realized what's wrong with my life and what's been going wrong all these years. And you know what it is? You know what I really need? A puppy! And I'm looking at him a little bit bemused. I'm like, a puppy? He goes, yes, Milton, a puppy. So he rings a local pet store and he says to them, hey, what is your finest puppy? And so they tell him, and he asks, how much is your finest puppy? And they tell him it's $500. So he's like, put it aside, announces his name and goes, I will be down to pick up that puppy. Put it aside for me. So he puts down the phone and he thinks to himself, Finally, I'm going to turn my life around with this amazing puppy. I'll bond with it. I will just walk around with it. We'll talk to each other. We'll hug. We'll cuddle. And things will be so much better. But then he suddenly realizes something. He said to me, Milton, I just realized at that particular time, I've only got $50 in my wallet. And they just told me that the puppy costs $500. And he said to me, I didn't know what to do at that particular point. So he's sitting there, he's racking his brain. He's thinking, I'm unemployed, I've only got $50, what do I do? And then all of a sudden, bang, the light bulb goes off in his head. He goes into the next door room, takes out the $50 note, goes to the photocopier and photocopies the note 10 times. And he's just laughing to himself. He's saying, Milton, it's genius. It's genius. All of a sudden I got $500. He says, but then I realized, hang on a second, I've got to get a collar, a bowl, a leash. I better photocopy 2 more $50 notes, just to be on the safe side. Up here for thinking. So, he rocks down to the pet store with his $600 that he's just photocopied in his wallet. He walks up to the counter, announces himself, and just says, by the way, I just rang you on the phone asking about your finest puppy for you to put it aside for me. Do you have it? And they're like, of course. So they bring it out, he looks at it, he hugs it, he absolutely loves this puppy. And they say to him, that's $500, sir. And he goes, hang on a second, I'm just going to grab a couple of things. And he goes to grab a leash, a bowl, and a couple of other accessories for the puppy. In the meantime, they're saying to him, sir, by the way, we just need your ID, and then you can give us the money. And that's when he thinks to himself, I lost my license for drink driving. He realizes he doesn't have it. So he's sitting there, the puppy's on the counter, he's loving the puppy, he's got the accessories in his hand, and he does a quick think and he goes, what the hell? So he takes the $600 that he's photocopied out of his wallet, throws it at them, grabs the puppy, grabs accessories, legs it out the store, hops in his car, drives off. And he's sitting there at home an hour later, hugging and cuddling the puppy, just thinking, this is absolutely awesome. This point in time, he told me, he gets a knock on the door. There's the police. And they say to him, by the way, sir, did you just steal a puppy an hour ago? And he goes, No. Meanwhile, in the background, the puppy starts barking. The cops are like, yeah, come on. We know you stole the puppy. We know you stole that puppy. He's like, how did you rumble me? Well, the policeman says, first thing that happened is you rocked up to the front of the store in your car with your license plate clearly visible. Not very smart. Second thing, you walk into the store, it's got CCTV and voice footage, and you tell them your name. Once again, not very smart. So second of all, you don't show your ID, you grab the puppy, and you leg it out of the store. Once again, not very smart. But, do you know what really let you down? Not that you gave your name, not that they saw your license, and not that you stole the puppy, you only photocopied one side of the $50 note. So kids, just say no to drugs. But let's face it, if you're talking to your drugs, you've probably already said yes. You know what? I did try sniffing coke once, but the cubes kept getting stuck up my nose. But I am happy to report that I have passed a drugs test at work. So I'm happy to have kept my job, but later on, I'm having words with my drug dealer.